I would like to welcome everyone this beautiful autumn afternoon to Tall Pines State Preserve for this dedication we're doing this afternoon, honoring a man who is very, very important to Tall Pines, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment, and dedicating our new pedestrian benches and also our brand new Pollinator Garden, the Tall Pines Pollinator Garden.
That's great.
And so we're going to have, basically it's going to be 2 dedications today. But I want to start off with the reason that we've come out to celebrate today. And it's not just about the benches. The benches are wonderful, and we'll be seeing those in just a moment. But I think it's about how people can do good in the world, and the difference that one man can make. It's been said that every place that's been preserved, whether it's a national park or a state park or a county park or something in a neighborhood, there's a story behind it. There was a person or a group that fought for that land, that fought for the preservation, and made the effort, that cared. And so many times these stories are forgotten. The parks remain, people enjoy it, but everyone has a history. And Tall Pines is a most unlikely outcome when we think about it, the long history of preservation. It was a long shot. This is again in 2008, and it took many people, many years, hard work, cooperation between 3 branches of government, a private land trust, a nature club, and a bevy of volunteers, and community support. But I can say one thing with absolute certainty. Without the initiative and the efforts of Chuck Forsman, there would never have been a park here. He's the one who started the effort and saw it through. And so, in 2008, just to give a little bit about the background of what Chuck did, the golf course that used to be here closed down. Land was bought by an out-of-state developer. Many people like myself just complained and bemoaned that one more piece of beautiful land is going to be lost to development. But Chuck wasn't like that. He wasn't a complainer. He was a doer. And on his own initiative, he found out who owned the land. He called, it was a developer in Washington, D.C., and asked, "Are you willing to sell for preservation?" He contacts the mayor of Deptford Township, Mantua Township, Winona, contacts Gloucester County Land Preservation, and he forms a committee, the first committee to preserve Tall Pines, which was called Maple Ridge back then. And he was head of the committee, and that began the preservation effort. And without him doing that on his own initiative, there would not have been a preservation effort, and there would not have been a Tall Pines here. There would have been 129 houses. So we owe that to Chuck. This park is a legacy of his, and we should always remember that. So, and as the years passed, the first committee turned into the Friends of Tall Pines, and Chuck was a valued member for the rest of his life, contributing and making things happen. He was someone who never sought the limelight, but he got things done, and he had a knack for bringing people together and for making people work together for a common cause. And because of what he did, we have this. And I think this is something that is, for many of us, something very dear to our hearts. And so when we bought these benches, we decided to dedicate them all 6 benches, to the memory of Chuck Forsman. And now I'd like to do an unveiling. And Lorrie, would you give me a hand on this? So we just get behind here. Now we just pull the cloth straight back. And there we are.
Very nice.
And the brass plaque we donated by the Friends of Tall Pines in memory of Chuck Forsman. So he will not be forgotten in this park, ever. There are 6 benches, yes. And this plaque is on every one of them.
This is why we were at the wrong one.
We'd be very
We
busy.
have 5 more to go.
Sitting around.
Let's go. Time to waste. And now I'd like to invite anyone else, family, friends, or supporters of Tall Pines who want to share a thought or a memory or anything, please. I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to participate and to be a part of this event.
Well, I'll start, since I look like him. I'm Mark Forsman, my wife Lynn, and we didn't know that there was going to be a pollinator garden, so you might have a volunteer right here. But you know, during Dad's service when he passed, we talked to a lot of people that were at mobile research, that were all the places where he worked, and it went back probably 20, 30, 40 years. And the one common thread between all those people when we were done was the fact that they said, when your dad has something he wants to do, he gets it done. And so this is one very good example of some of the things that he did. And I see some younger folks around here, and all I say is please do what you can to help the environment. If you need help, talk to Lynn or talk to my mom, and they'll give you some direction. But we really appreciate you following through and keeping his memory alive. Thanks.
Thanks.
I was a latecomer to the family. Well, it's almost 30 years now when I married in. But Chuck influenced me to such a degree. I have a small nonprofit in Annapolis for the last 15 years called Annapolis Green. So I carry this on, not right here, but elsewhere. And this is a joy to come, especially to see that you've put in a pollinator garden here as well.
It's contagious, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
I just quickly want to say, like Rich said, when this began, it was kind of like this big thing and a big idea. And Chuck was the one that just doggedly stayed at it. And just kind of bought it and kind of brought it in. And again, that's why we're here. That's why if he hadn't kept at it and kept coming back, it just would have been this big idea that kind of
Fades.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the other son. So I'm Chuck Forsman. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming out. Mark said most of it, so I'm not going to try and repeat all that stuff. But thank you all for coming out. Thanks for supporting them. Thanks for supporting us with this whole endeavor. And we really appreciate it. We'll be using the paths and walking along here. I played in the Gateway Regional golf team. We used to play this, and so we were down on the 19th hole as we were waiting for you guys. But it's amazing how this has come around. So thank you all for coming out here.
Thank you.
Perfect day.
We forgot the cowboy hat.
I know. Sadly.
You know.
Well, we have it on the
He's
photograph.
here.
Right there.
Lives large.
So,
one of these.
Yeah, the other thing we're doing here today is dedicating the Tall Pines Pollinator Garden. This is its first year. And we are just so pleased about having this here because it fits so much with our message about the importance of pollinators and of natural diversity and of all the things that we support here at Tall Pines. And this garden came about because last June we were contacted by a young lady named Barbara Woodward. This is Barbara right here.
Yay!
And she says, hi, I'd like to make a pollinator garden at Tall Pines. And we said, well, you need to get permission from the state and the county. She got that in 10 seconds. And we said, go for it. And she has worked very hard. She designed this garden. She's been here countless hours doing the drudgery it takes to maintain a garden. She's bevied a group of volunteers. She had a watering event several times in the summer because there's no on-site water here that had to be brought in. And we were just so pleased. So this is the first year of many years of a thriving garden here at Tall Pines of native plants and pollinating plants. So I'd like you to introduce the garden's creator and manager, Barbara Woodward.
Thanks, I have just a passion. Everyone asks what I'm going to do with this, and it was just a passion, just something that I love. I love to plant for wildlife. I love the critters. I love the bees, and I think everyone needs a place to live. So I was a Rutgers Environmental Steward student. It was a course. It cost a couple $100, and it was just a course that we took online. and I had to do a 60-hour internship project. And my goal was to plant a pollinator garden. I hit a lot of brick walls, a lot. And that's why when Rich said yes to me, it really opened up this amazing opportunity, because I live in Washington Township. There were brick walls there. I had a friend with a farm who said I could put the garden there, and then that didn't turn out. So we really were fortunate to find tall pines. Actually, I worked here when it was Ron Jaworski's. I worked for Jaworski for a whole summer, and that was a big part of my life. So to be back here as a nature preserve is really cool. To watch it go from all built up and what would I say? Professional
to restoring nature.
to perfectly manicured grass to this is a dream come true. I happened to see an article that the Xerces Society was giving away plants, so I applied and was granted 1,200 native plant plugs. Rich and I took a little walk around, and when we came up this path, and he said this was a site that he thought the plants would look great in, it was like I just heard the angels sing. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This huge field of grass, and we didn't want to spend too much money, so we didn't till it up or disturb the earth as it was. We just planted right into what was already here. That was a challenge in itself. Maybe there was something built here, but there is tons of brick and rock under the dirt, so our auger kept breaking and our shovels wouldn't dig. But we had about 30 volunteers. They were tremendous. No one ever complained. They just did what they had to do and dug their little holes, and we planted 1,200 native plant plugs. Some people came with extra plants that they had in their house and added a couple more, so we were very fortunate to have those volunteers. It was fantastic. That's my husband, and my daughter is on the left. Say hi. They really helped, and that's her girlfriend, but they really helped make this all possible. And thanks, Rich, because you said yes, and now we've created a beautiful garden. I wanted a space where we can walk through. I didn't want it to be a field that you just look at from afar. So we did get some mulch, and we made some paths, which got all grown over and stuff, but we'll mow them and try to keep some paths open so that you could walk through and see the butterflies and the moths enjoying the flowers. And a lot of people say, what are you going to do about the deer? What are you going to do about the animals that eat it? That's why it's here. It's here for the critters to enjoy. So a lot of my volunteers are here, so thank you for helping and making this possible. I have a list of plants that we planted. We planted sunflowers and blazing star and wild bergamot. You could walk through and see the pretty flowers poking up through the weeds. But we'll have some weeding parties and get rid of this stuff that doesn't belong. But you really can see a lot of the native plants survived the treacherous summer that we had. No rain. We had people come out with their gallon jugs of water, and we would water a couple plants. And then we asked the fire department to come out, and they did. They came out with their bush truck, I think they call it, and they would come out a couple times over the summer and water the garden for us. So that is why it all thrived. And hopefully we can expand, and all of these will blow seeds over time and hopefully take over. So thank you. Oh, and then
Should we do the ribbon cutting?
we're going to cut
Absolutely.
the ribbon.
Then maybe if you want to take a little walk through the garden. And anyone
We
wants
can
to-
walk through
Yeah.
the garden if anyone wants to come by.
It's up now.
What's that? Oh. You're not beating anybody in there.
Cut nice. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Woo! Welcome. I had a vision of, my husband says it looks like a baseball field. And I love baseball, so it was really funny.
If you plant it, they will come.
Yeah. And we had monarch butterflies all summer. We had all kinds of critters enjoying this, but it's supposed to be curvy paths that form a heart. So there's a couple of paths and it's a heart shape. But it does look like a baseball field. And I think it's about 6,000 square feet. It's between 6,000 and 8,000 square feet. And we roped it off it's not to keep anyone out, it's just so that they don't mow it.
Right.